Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today, action-packed show. So many things happened in the footballing world over the past day, over this past Monday and this past weekend. So many things going on, so we have a lot to discuss. We're not even going to be able to get to everything. Some of this content will spill over to tomorrow, but yeah, Barcelona trouncing Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, of course. We'll also discuss Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or and the actions of Real Madrid snubbing the ceremony. United have sacked Eric Ten-Hag and are currently in talks with Ruben Amorim. Mohamed Salah, we react to Mohamed Salah late goal earning Liverpool that point against Arsenal. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show. End of the show, I'll be giving you some of my reactions to some of the top headlines going on in the football world. If you have a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes the show successful, and we thrive on your energies and insights. So whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, please don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. And if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that as well. Just use the super chat feature at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We really rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking, hit that super chat button, and let's keep the show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can always go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, or leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we really appreciate your community. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking, hit that super chat button. Let's keep the show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can always go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We do have to start off though with Barcelona. They have trounced Real Madrid, for lack of a better word. Embarrassed them, demolished them at the Bernabeu. 4-0 victory for Barcelona. 2 goals coming from Robert Lewandowski in a quick moment in the 54th, 56th minute. Then you had the goal came from Lamine Yamal cutting back to his right foot, absolutely belter of the shot. And then you had the last goal, and it's fitting. Rafinha. We'll discuss the Ballon d'Or tomorrow, but of the Ballon d'Or ended today for this season, it would be Rafinha up to this point. He's been absolutely sensational for Barcelona, and it's just fitting that he got a goal. This is a Rafinha that already has 10 goals this season and 7 assists. And when you look at La Liga and Champions League, he has 10 goals and 7 assists and 17 goal contributions in 14 games. He has been ridiculous. He has been absolutely ridiculous. And he's a talented player. Or we know he was a talented player, but he's playing to the level of his talents now in a Barcelona shirt so far this season on the Hansi Flick. Look, we came into this game thinking both of these teams are they're gonna play. We knew it was gonna be an entertaining game because of the style of play both of these teams. Real Madrid, yes, they're a little bit more balanced in the way that they go about it, but they still can leave space in behind, and they can, and generally they can play an open game. We know Barcelona, how high flying, how open ended their football is, how high their back line is pushed up, the pressing, the aggressiveness of their pressing, they're relying on the pressure to not allow midfielders and the center halves to have time and space to play the ball in behind, because there's a lot of space to play that ball in behind the likes of Kubarsi, and Martinez, Inigo Martinez. But the thing that I was impressed about, number one, I do have to say Real Madrid in that first 20-25 minutes or so, they did have some clear-cut out opportunities. Mbappe, Vinicius, they had some really good opportunities. Even Lamine Yamal had one as well, going in on a one-on-one. I kind of scuffed the shot there. But they had their opportunities, Real Madrid did. And Mbappe just has, this game has been the story of his Real Madrid start, his career start at Real Madrid. it's just slow. It was not good enough, and he was caught off offsides 8 times, the most in his career. He really struggled to time his runs to be able to beat the Barcelona back line in timely and not to get caught off sides. And when he wasn't caught off sides and he had the opportunities, or the play led on and they eventually called it offsides, he didn't take advantage. He tried to go near post on a lot of and a lot of attempts at goal, which was interesting to me. He usually has a good, is a good finisher, and he switches it up. He is an unpredictable player, but in this game, he was trying to go near post every single time. And yeah, as far as Barcelona, absolutely brilliant. What Hansi Flick has done with them. What he's done, how Robert Lewandowski now look. That was in the first half. Robert Lewandowski, he's not just a striker, because look, in this system, you have a striker like Robert Lewandowski. Ideally, in the system that Barcelona play, or let me reframe that. How important Robert Lewandowski is in this system cannot be undervalued. Number one, the goals is most important factor, as well as being a striker. We know the goal. We know how great of a finisher he is, how clinical he is, and we say how great of a finisher he is. He should have had another, to be honest, where to hit the post. But we know his ability just as a number nine, the finisher he is. But that touch he had to play in initially to create that opportunity, that led to the Lamine Yamal opportunity. Robert Lewandowski, what a player he is. He can drop into midfield and the ball will stick. He can continue an attack. We know how clinical he is from a goal-scoring perspective. He's 36 years old and he has 14 games and 11 matches. Last season was a pretty slow season. Was a pretty underwhelming season for his standards, and we thought, oh, maybe this is a sign of a drop-off. He had 19 goals last season throughout the season. This season, through 11 games, he already has 14. Just shows there's not no drop-off, and he's about to smash his record at Barcelona for scoring most goals scoring at Barcelona. He scored 23 goals in the 22-23 season. He had 19 last season. He's going to get a lot more than 23. He's going to, this season, 14 goals through 11 games, and he just looks comfortable playing under Hansi Flick, playing in that system, and something that he's done throughout a lot of his career. So he's up for the challenge. And then what Hansi Flick has been able to produce out of the likes of Rafinha, what he's been able to get out of him, the goals, the playmaking, drifting into the areas that he find him very, very deadly. How he's playing with such, he's exuberating so much confidence in the things he's, trying to make happen on the pitch, the opportunities that he's taken. What Hansi Flick has done, and then also, relying on La Masia players like Marc Casado after, the players, the amount of players that this Barcelona team has lost to injuries, and specifically at that sixth position, and being able to, have Casado, who's just coming in, 17 or 21-year-old, playing at that sort of level. I think it's been absolutely sensational. I think he's a sensational manager, Hansi Flick is, and it doesn't get much better of a start than this. I have to say it's been absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Barcelona, big picture, they announced themselves more than a legit contender to win La Liga. I'm almost going to the point where I'm saying, 6 points through already a 6-point margin through 11 games. The way that they won this game as well. Look, I don't want to say that they're favorites over Real Madrid, but if they're not favorites, then it's level. then it's level at this point. I like this. I like to see the odds to win La Liga. I'd be very, very interested. Um, Very, very interested. Who is the favorite right now? Because 6 point margin, the way Barcelona is looking so far. Not saying Real Madrid has not looked amazing, but you know it can get better. It can definitely get better. Some games they're not really dominating as we expect. This game now, really, really bad loss. They suffered that loss against Lille in the Champions League as well. For me, the Real Madrid they didn't take advantage of the opportunities when they came, and they couldn't stop the bleeding. Once Robert Lewandowski got that initial goal, the confidence from the Barcelona players was exuberant, and Real Madrid, they just couldn't handle that. The amount of opportunities that Barcelona were able to create, Real Madrid, could have been more too. Sometimes Real Madrid would struggle just playing out of the press, and they really couldn't handle. They were getting suffocated. They were getting suffocated, and you thought, in that second half, maybe even periods in that first half, we talked about how open Barcelona could be leading to this game and how it could lead to a lot of opportunities. Well, Real Madrid got carved up. There was some superb ball played in. I mean, the Casado played a really good ball in the 54th minute that led to a Robert Lewandowski goal. Lamine Yamal played in also another brilliant ball that led to another goal. There was some really good quality from these Barcelona players that allowed the play that allowed Barcelona to get these opportunities. But Real Madrid were very easy to play against. Lucas Vázquez, that is a problem. This is now multiple games that he has made a mistake and has not looked comfortable playing a right back. Now, as Lucas Vázquez can be somebody that can give you flexibility, that in a game in, game out, you can plug him in there and he can do the job. But if you're relying on Lucas Vázquez to be that right back, game in, game out, and be on a title push and a Champions League push, he is not at that level at right back. I'm sorry. He's not at that level, honestly, at any position at Real Madrid to be a starter, game in, game out. He's just not that good. He's just not that good enough. Defensively, his positioning can be pretty poor. One-on-one defending is not really his strength as well. Going forward doesn't give you anything elite. I think, we know that they want Trent Alexander-Arnold, but they can't get Trent Alexander-Arnold in January. And Real Madrid is a team that battles for every trophy game in, game out. So if I'm them, I'm looking for someone in January. Someone in January that you can bring in, whether it is a loan, whether it's a buy, even it can be within La Liga, a player that doesn't have a high transfer value, just for someone that can naturally play right back, that gives you a solid foundation of at least he's a solid defender. He may not be able to give you much going forward, but just someone solid, someone that can be a solid defender that could, that could give you maybe something going forward, but most of all, he'll have his defensive positioning right. He won't get caught out. He won't get caught off the ball. Just someone, that can play there. And at least someone that can also push Lucas Vázquez as well. Because Lucas Vázquez, look, man, he has no competition. That's, that with Dani Carvajal being out, that is an issue Real Madrid will have to solve in January. That's a major issue. This attack, sometimes they look too. Today they went with Mbappe and Vinicius. Maybe Rodrigo comes back in. Without Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Bellingham. I thought that could be the answer, but they still looked pretty open to play, and the attack did not look as fluid. As I expected. Again, you're going up against a Barcelona team that is really, really good at a high point right now in what they're doing, but still, that's something that they have to, synchronize. They have to, whether it is, and keep on changing it and switching is not going to help. Now, this game, they were forced because Rodrigo wasn't available. But what Carlo Ancelotti needs to do is he needs to, have a play and a consistent play. Is Rodrigo involved or not? Are we going to play in that extra midfielder and allow Bellingham to push up with Vinicius and Mbappe? Or do we put in Rodrigo, play the normal front three, and just play the basic 4-3-3 that, that's become the staple of modern football? That's something that they have to figure out. Real Madrid does. And look, it's a great win for Barcelona. It's a win that announces them at the highest stage. We know, it doesn't announce Barcelona. We know what they are, but it really makes us think twice on whether or not that they should be La Liga favorites, because they have scored. Listen to this. They have scored 37 goals so far in La Liga. 37 goals in La Liga. 37 goals through 10 games. They are averaging more than 3.5 goals per game. They are averaging, or a little, actually, let me rephrase that. They're averaging a little less than 3.5 goals per game. That's a ridiculous stat line, and it's not like they're conceding a crazy amount too. They've conceded 10 goals, which is the fourth or fifth best defense in La Liga. Despite how open that they are, they're still defensively a pretty solid team, but they're scoring at a historical rate. They're getting great contributions from Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha, Marcasado, who's holding it down. Pedri also had a really solid game. Inigo Martinez, Kovarsi. They're doing the job. They're doing what is expected of them. Balde, Koundé, we know the quality of those two players. Overall, this is a team with some real talent. As they start getting Frenkie de Jong more in season, more comfortable, and they can get him back into that starting 11 at his top level. And then Daniel Almo, who's also going to continue to get even more healthy. He had an appearance off the bench. Same thing with Xavi as well. Man, look out for this Barcelona team. They have quality. They have a great manager, and they could score with any of them. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will react to Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we discussed Barcelona trouncing Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in Clásico. We move on to do a full reaction to Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or and Real Madrid snubbing the ceremony. So okay. First of all, let's react to Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or. Actually, we can't really react to Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or without talking about what the major snub was. But I do have to say, it was extremely shocking that Rodri won the Ballon d'Or. Now, I'm not saying I'm shocked. I'm saying just in general to the public, what we expected. We thought Vinicius was hands down kind of win the Ballon d'Or. Not we, I didn't think, but like the public thing. It was almost we were just waiting for the ceremony and for Vinicius to do a speech and all that. That's how high, that's how likely we thought it was. During the I believe during he hasn't had a great start to the season, but after that Dortmund game, obviously this season games don't matter to the Ballon d'Or because it was the Ballon d'Or for last season, but it allowed the hype to continue. Yeah, Vinicius, he's continuing to dominate. About to be a Ballon d'Or winner. A lot of people were making those claims. A lot of players, whenever they were praising Vinicius, they were throwing in that Ballon d'Or title in there, but nothing was confirmed at that moment, and then slowly, the rumors started circulating throughout today, or technically yesterday, because we're past midnight. Rodri, Ballon d'Or. Rodri might win the Ballon d'Or. Rodri's gonna win the Ballon d'Or, and then those rumors started turning into almost literally official report, not official reports, but high level intel that Rodri's gonna win the Ballon d'Or, which led to Real Madrid, which we'll discuss a little bit later this segment, not hopping on that private jet to Paris and, not having any representatives as some sort of protest, I guess, to Vinicius not winning it. Rodri, who won the award, said, a very special day for me, my family, and my country. Why did I say that like that? My country. I understand that because I have no social media. People don't know me much. I am just a normal guy. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy my profession. And I try to be a good person. I am a very calm person. We know what Rodri has accomplished. He won the Premier League this past season, which happened to be his 4th straight Premier League title with Manchester City. The 4 straight things doesn't matter when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. It's just this season. But yes, he won the Premier League title this season. He also won the European Championship with Spain at this past summer's European Championship, and he was also a very integral part to that team. Rodri, what he does cannot be shown by statistics, because he happens to play not really that sexy of a position, that center defensive midfield role, that holding midfielder role. A lot of the main duties and the main skill and ability of that position can't be translated onto the stat sheet. Now there are some stats that you can use, like tackle rate, interception rate, and breakup rate and all that, in which Rodri in a lot of those statistics is very, very high. Don't get me wrong, but mostly you can't really show his level with his statistics. But what you can see is you can watch the game and you can realize how he's vital, not just to Man City but Spain, and get everything going. How he dictates all the tempo, how he's the composer of that midfield, how essentially any play, any build-up goes through him and usually starts from him receiving the ball off the center halves and just being the composer that composes every little aspect of the pitch. That's how important he is. He's also a holding midfielder that has that defensive ability in which he can drop in between the center backs and be that third center half and help them defend. He could cover holes for fullbacks that push up the field. He has that ability to do all those defensive roles. And then, he's able to do what a holding midfielder does and control everything from midfield. On top of that too, and he doesn't have ridiculous numbers, but as a holding midfielder, he has that ability to score a goal. He has that ability making those late run, not late run, but sitting on the edge of the box to get that goal. We've seen him do it countless times. In fact, he won Man City the Champions League doing that, winning goal in the Champions League final against Inter Milan last season. In the Premier League, he had 8 goals this past season. 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 goal contributions. For a holding midfielder, that's pretty good. That's really good for a holding midfielder. They don't happen to be really the main assist makers or goal scorers on their team. To get 17 in one league campaign, that's really, really impressive, I do have to say, for a holding midfielder. That's not even his primarily duty, anything. So Rodri, we know what he is. He's a great player. We see the statistics. Manchester City last season, in the league campaign. If you look at how their record and their efficiency when Rodri is playing compared to Rodri not playing, it tells a clear story from last season. Obviously, they're doing pretty well so far to start this season without him, but this season has nothing to do with it. If you look last season, he was highly important. You go to what he's done for Spain as well in international competition. This was his first opportunity to be that main holding midfielder, that 6th role, to have, to play that position for Spain at the major international tournament, after now succeeding Sergio Busquets. In the past few, even though Rodri has been at the level to start, he hasn't got the opportunity because Sergio Busquets has still been around, and he's happened to play unnatural positions trying to fit in there, playing next to Sergio Busquets, or playing as a center half, playing positions that he can't do what he does best. But now in his first international tournament, when he got that opportunity, look how Spain did, and everything went through him. Look at the importance he had. He was such an important player for Spain, and people undervalue that. And I go back to this moment. Spain go down 1-0 to Georgia in the round of 16. There's been Spanish teams in the past few international tournaments now. In those sort of moments, they might they tend to crumble. This is a Spain national team that's gotten eliminated by Russia at the 2018 World Cup round of 16. They got eliminated by Morocco, which did go to the semifinal, but they got eliminated by Morocco in the round of 16 at the 2022 World Cup. This is a Spanish national team that could have faltered in that moment. But when Spain needed the goal, it was Rodri that got the goal, got that equalizer. I believe it was a little bit shortly before the second half. In the 40th minute, 39th minute. And then it allowed Spain to, just trounce Georgia in that second half and move on. Importance. That's an important play. That's a clutch. And you don't Spain did not have the ability to have the ability at that position to do that in the past with Sergio Busquets. He did not give you really goals at all. In there, but Rodri, he's the one that came up with that goal. Not saved Spain. That's way too much of a stretch, but that game-changing play. And then they went on, and he was an important part in each game, or in most games, to win that European Championship. He did come off in that second half due to injury, and they went on to win that final against England, yes. But throughout the duration of a tournament, game in, game out, he was very, very important, and he played a very, very good tournament. Now, Vinicius Jr., obviously, he's not a fan of, not a fan. He obviously feels snubbed by this. We saw what he said on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. Real Madrid, they're snubbing the tournament. They're skipping it. I think that's a little childish. I do have to say, from Real Madrid, a club that has such prestige, to snub the awards because they feel like it was robbed. Look, I'll say it again. I'll say it over and over again. Vinicius Jr., really, really good season for Real Madrid. Dominant season, important part of it. And he has the statistics. They won the Champions League. They won the La Liga. There is a clear precedent with the Ballon d'Or. in the past that the international tournaments have a huge factor. And as they should, the international tournaments are, they're tournaments, and each game is magnified, and, you really have to be a proper player to show up in those clutch moments. So there's a good reason why the international tournament should be factored. They're the pinnacle, especially the European Championship, the World Cup, even the Copa America to an extent. They are the pinnacle of football, and they should have a huge value on this. And Vinicius Jr., although he showed up for Real Madrid game in, game out, not game in, game out, but he was very, very important in that Champions League, knockout stages, and important part of Real Madrid that won the Champions League. For Brazil, he was not good enough at the Copa America. He was not. Against Costa Rica, his level was nowhere near good enough. Against Colombia, his level was not good enough. He played a good game against Paraguay, but then against Colombia, his level was not good enough. He ended up getting a second yellow, in which he wasn't even not second yellow, but a accumulation yellow, and then which he wasn't even available for Brazil. And then they went on to get eliminated by Uruguay, in which he didn't play. Yes, but 2 out of the 3 games, he was crap. And international tournaments, they have a precedent. And if you don't show up for your national team in the summer, simple. That's the tiebreaker factor from this. That's what it comes down to. Simple as that. But Real Madrid snubbing it, obviously, is pretty childish, and I like to ask Real Madrid, okay, now let's say one of your players plays the next year, I hope teams snub them, because it's just disrespectful. It's not how a proper club should be ran. But I'm not surprised. This is a Real Madrid that announced the signing of a Spanish national team manager, a few days before, or a day before the World Cup started, and it ended up leading to him getting fired. Talking about the Lopetegui situation in 2018, they're always classless. Real Madrid, they're a historical club under the club, but Florentino Perez, the Super League, founder and owner and all that, just speaks to, I bet you that came from the top. I have to say, I bet you that came from the top. And yeah, you could say solidarity with the player and all that, but in which I guess you're being loyal to the player, but is it disrespecting the player if you have representatives that fly out to Paris? Is that disrespecting the player? No, I don't think so. So short break here coming up. When we come back, we will react to United sacking Erik Ten-Hag and being in talks with Ruben Amorim.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we discussed Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or and Real Madrid snubbing the ceremony. We move on to react to Manchester United sacking Erik Ten-Hag. After United lost to West Ham this past Sunday with a late goal from Somerville to make it 1-0. Casemiro equalizing in the 81st minute. Then the winning goal came from Jared Bowen. Dramatic win with that penalty in that last moment, in which there were controversial penalty. Um, but what happened is West Ham, they got the victory, and Erik Ten-Hag sacked this morning. They waited a little bit. They gave themselves 24 hours. No, they didn't give themselves 24 hours. They sacked them the following morning. But look, finally, it's been a long time coming. I thought whenever the funny thing is, I thought when Erik Ten Hag's really it turned around, like not turned, but the turning point, really the big turning point. There was a lot of turning points, but the big turning point, you got to go back to that Coventry. It was actually a win, but it was a disgusting and embarrassing win against Coventry in that FA Cup semi-final. But they survived, and then they eventually won the FA Cup final against City, which probably helped them save his job. Then this season after they did a whole evaluation in the summer to even decide whether he was good enough to be retained. They've had a poor start to their campaign. They're sitting 14th in the Premier League after 9 games with 3 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses, only 11 points through 9 games. Yeah, it was coming and it should have came earlier, but it's here now. And yeah, Erik Ten Hag, he is sacked, and to recap his career at United, that first season, I have to say, that first season, they were good that first season. There was hope, at least. There was hope. They finished second place. They won an EFL Cup for the first time, or they won a trophy for the first time in, I believe it was 6 years, a ridiculous trophy drought, something of that sort. Don't quote me on that. They won a trophy for the first time. They finished second place in the Premier League. They played some good football in certain periods. He had a lot to deal with, and I thought he dealt with a lot of it in a pretty good way, in a firm way, with the Cristiano Ronaldo situation, which always is a difficult situation to deal with if you're a new manager. And what they did that season, I thought they were pretty good, and there was a hope. There was hope. A lot of Manchester United fans believed. They were really, really high on Erik Ten Hag. Then the following year, they had a lot of injuries, but just the performance levels was not good enough game in, game out. No sort of consistency. The results was horrible as well. Some signings that we expected to take that next level now this season. Players that came in for a lot of money that Erik Ten Hag wanted, like Anthony Onana, players of that sort, did not fill the bill, did not perform to a level that was expected of them. They finished 8th in the Premier League that season. They also got eliminated in the Champions League group stages. It was horrible. They did go on though, and it saved his job essentially. They won the FA Cup final, as I was saying, against City that season. But it put him in a position that he was coming in already under pressure, and he has cracked under pressure. There's just not been good enough so far this season. He gets sacked. But to recap, he did have that good season, that opening season where they finished second place. He did win 2 trophies in his managerial career at United, which is the most that any manager has won since Jose Mourinho did back in 2016 when he won when he did the double, the FA Cup or the EFL Cup and the Europa League. So there is that aspect to it, Erik Ten Hag. You probably have to say, despite how bad United have been, the past season and in a few months, I think he was a more successful manager than every other managers, in the period other than Jose Mourinho since Sir Alex Ferguson. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he had he had a season where he finished second, and he had that not magical, but defined his legendary moment, that PSG comeback. But he had a better tenure than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He won 2 trophies. Let's just put some respect there. Better tenure than Louis Van Gaal, David Moyes, But again, it's just not been good enough, and it was coming for a very, very long time, and you could almost tell that he probably, I think he probably knew. He probably knew, and because if you see the body language and when he's, when he's shaking Joel Lopetegui after the game, and just his, his body language, his facial expressions, and maybe it's just the frustration of the penalty and losing the game and the dramatic fashion and all that. But he really looked like a manager that knew something is coming, that he might be gone, and yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, it was a long time coming. But there has been rumors that Ruben Amorim, he's the leading candidate for the United job, and talks have already emerged, and that he's aware of the interest. They did appoint Ruud van Nistelrooy as the interim manager, and there was a lot whenever he was initially hired as assistant manager, and even talks throughout that it's looking like he's poised to take over eventually somewhat throughout the season. He is on an interim basis, but it doesn't seem like United have any, it doesn't seem like United have any thoughts on what, letting it's like trying to see, what Van Nistelrooy can provide. It seems like United are very steadfast in their approach of Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim, by the way, there was sources that say Manchester City really would prefer him if Pep Guardiola has been announces that he's leaving, and maybe this also pushed United to make the move earlier so that they can go after, they can make this approach before City can, with City, with Guardiola not officially announcing that he's leaving City. Amorim, he's also been linked with Liverpool before Slots got the job. The 39-year-old, he has been in charge at Sporting Lisbon since 2022. He's won 2 Portuguese league titles, despite having the resources provided that Porto and even Benfica have. So we'll see. When he was asked at the Sporting, during one of his press conferences, he says, I was already expecting this question, and obviously I'm not going to talk about the future because otherwise I'll always have to comment. I'm very proud to be Sporting coach, that's all. Yeah, so, I think that would be a good fit. But at the end of the day, no matter what manager United hire, there's a clear issue at this club. And it starts from the top. And I've been saying it over and over again. And to think that a manager would just come in and fix it is just going to lead to mistakes. It's the definition of idiocy, doing the same thing over and over again. And that's what they've done since Sir Alex Ferguson. With Louis van Gaal, David Moyes, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralf Ragnick even for a period, and now Erik Ten-Hag. The manager isn't the issue every single time. At the end of the day, there's some real issues at the club that needs to be addressed. Can't go on too long because we're really not short on time. There has been so much going on in the football world, but we will take a short break here, and when we come back, we will do a full reaction to Salah late goal earning Liverpool that point against Arsenal.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we did a reaction to United sacking Ten-Hag and being in talks with Ruben Amorim. We move on to do a full reaction to Mohamed Salah late goal earning Liverpool that draw against Arsenal. A really good game, I have to say, as expected. As you know, high level competition, high level quality from both sides as well. Some brilliant individual moments. You know, you talk about that Saka goal, that Trent Alexander ball to play in Darwin Núñez that led to that second goal. A lot of good individual play. We saw two teams that are really on a title charge go at it, and they play like two title battling teams. We had a little bit of that element of desperation as Arsenal were clinging on to that 3 points. And then we saw the ferociousness and the determination of Liverpool, in their ferocious nature and going for that equalizer, in which they eventually got through Salah. Fabulous game to watch. Saka opening the score sheet in the 9th minute. Van Dijk taking advantage on a set piece opportunity in the 18th minute. Arsenal take advantage of a set piece opportunity on their own in the 43rd through Mikel Merino. I believe that, it is his first goal at the club. And then Salah's lone goal in that second half, 81st minute to get the point. You look at the statistics, 9 shots for Arsenal to 9 shots for Liverpool. 3 shots on target for Arsenal to 4 shots on Liverpool. 44% possession for Arsenal to 56% possession for Liverpool. Now, Bukayo Saka, we didn't know for sure if he was going to be available. He ended up being available for Arsenal in this one. And he scored that goal in the 9th minute to open it up. Brilliant individual play from him. First of all, the touch to control the pass in was really, really good. Very, very, very good. Very, very good first touch. Then the cut back, dropping Robertson. Poor defending there, I do have to say, but really good cut back. And then the finish as well. Really good opening goal. Really showed his quality. Van Dijk. He equalized 9 minutes later on a set piece. Nice little flick on from Luis Diaz. He headed it home. Really good important equalizer for Liverpool there. But then on Arsenal, they responded to that equalizer pretty good. They went on to create a lot of good opportunities in that first half. I do have to say, Arsenal didn't look like what we've seen from Arsenal going up against decent opposition so far this season, and their very, very defensive nature. Specifically, the response to that goal in that first half, they created some clear cutout very, very good opportunities. Saka, he had an opportunity. Havertz, he wasn't able to control a really good ball from Martinelli, but eventually they did take advantage of a set piece themselves. Through Mikel Merino, taking that 2-1 lead going into halftime. And I do have to say, once Arsenal took that lead, I knew that they were probably going to sit in just a little bit deeper, because we know what we've seen of them this season. And then Liverpool looked much better after that break. Luis Diaz, he had a clear opportunity 5 minutes in. Gabriel, he had to come off. He was eventually replaced by Kivior. And then it changed the shape of Arsenal's back line, and I'm not saying that had a huge effect on the game, but obviously when you don't have your two starting center halves that make your defense as elite as it is, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hang on. I thought Arsenal did defend pretty well as a unit, with Thomas Partey playing as well in an unnatural position, but eventually the equalizer came. The pressure from Liverpool eventually it burst. Liverpool, really good ball played in by Trent Alexander-Arnold to Darwin Núñez. I think what is very underrated is, and it may seem like a simple pass to play, but it does really take vision to find that a gap in there, to slot in that really calm ball. Good, it had a good pace on it. He hit it with the right weight into Salah's pass, and once Salah had an opportunity, from there, clear opportunity, be able to, hit it on his left foot. He was never missing. When Darwin Núñez played and I saw that ball reached Salah, I turned around because I didn't even think, because I knew it was going, and I turned around to I was sitting next to an Arsenal fan, so I turned around to talk a little crap, right? And I didn't even see whether it went in. It just shows the, how clinical and how devastating a player like Mohamed Salah could be. I thought Liverpool had a chance to earn that, a comeback victory, but because with the pressure that they piled on in that second half, but it didn't come. In fact, Arsenal, they had a ball hit the back of the net right at the end, but the referee, Anthony Taylor, eventually blown for foul, which was correct, rightfully so. But yeah, overall, you look at the consequences of this game. With Liverpool, they're still a point behind, they were ahead. Now they're a point behind Manchester City, which is not, they would have wanted to, be ahead of Manchester City, obviously, but going away to Arsenal, getting that point, I think they'll be very, very happy. With Arsenal, not losing the game is good, decent, but to be 5 points behind City through 9 games, that's a difficult gap to cover. I have to say, I don't think Arsenal are going to be able to do it. I think this is a season where I don't think Arsenal will win the title, and I don't think Arsenal will really be that close really at the end. Obviously, they have the ability to be a title-winning team with what we've seen of them in terms of points that they've earned this past season or two. But yeah, to go 5 points ahead behind City this early, yeah, I think this is definitely more points lost than point gained. Especially even though it's a team like Liverpool battling for the title, these home games are games that you need to get 3 points in, and yeah, now they've already dropped points in 4 games in the first 9. It's difficult to keep up with a team like Manchester City when you do that, and any team would suffer, if they lose their best players, and not having Gabriel or not having Saliba in this one, losing Gabriel, not having Martin Odegaard, so far for a while now this season. When you have injuries to these sort of players, or suspensions for Saliba's matter, it's going to be hard to maintain that consistency to keep up with a team like City. It's hard to maintain that consistency to keep up with a team like Manchester City, even if you're fully healthy. So, yeah, I have to say, I think Arsenal are not going to win the title. I think it's pretty obvious already. I don't know if I'm going out on a limb and saying that, but I just think it's over for them. Not over for them, but almost over for them. On the verge of being over for them. Because 5 point... No, because look, Arsenal, they have little breathing room going forward. Yes, 30, 20... let me do the math. 29 games? No. 29 games. 29 games left in this season. That's... you can make up a 5 point gap in 29 games, right? Theoretically. I feel like I'm doing the math. 29 games left this season. You can make up the 5 points. Yes, but that's if you go perfect. That you have to go almost perfect with how City play, with the quality that City has, with the performance level of the team. You're almost going to have to go perfect. You have little to no breathing room whatsoever. And this is Arsenal team that have already suffered a few injuries. And they have Newcastle coming up again next week. Then they have to play Chelsea. They have, obviously they have EFL Cup and Champions League in between. But then they have Chelsea to play on November 10th. This league title campaign, and then a Nottingham Forest team that's been decent this season. This team could be essentially out of the title race by the end of November. It could get that bad that quickly. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. Before the break, we did the full reaction to Mohamed Salah late goal, earning Liverpool a point against Arsenal. We move on to react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. We have to start off with Lamine Yamal. No, not with Lamine Yamal. We start off with Bon Mati. She has won the second straight Ballon d'Or. She has won a second straight female Ballon d'Or. She has retained her title. She saw competition from her Barcelona teammate, actually, Caroline Graham-Hansen, to win the award for the second straight year. She was an important part for Barcelona. They won the quadruple for the first time ever. She lifted her fifth Liga F title, third Champions League title, and 6 Copa del Rey and 4 Spanish Super Cup. She said, "Thank you so much for your applause. I'm so grateful to be here to receive this award for the second time. I always say that this is not something that you can do alone. I'm so lucky to be surrounded by wonderful players who helped me to keep growing into a better player. So thank you to my teammates, because without them I wouldn't be here. I would also like to thank my club and President Joan Laporta. When you're growing and have more experience, you have confidence. It's not about the trophies. It's about having my teammates next to me." Barcelona's Lamine Yamal, he has become the youngest Copa Award winner. The Copa trophy, he won it at the Ballon d'Or, which recognizes the best under 21 player in men's football, and he also finished number 8 in the voting as well for the Ballon d'Or. But yeah, he has won the Copa, and this shows the talent, the ability of La Masia to develop talent. Third time in 4 years that the trophy has won by a Barcelona player. Pedri won it in 2021, Xavi in 2022, but Jude Bellingham won it last year, which for Real Madrid, which is ironic as well. And then Lamine Yamal won it this season, again for Barcelona. Balotelli, he has sealed a return to Serie A with a Genoa transfer. He has signed with Genoa as a free agent. He underwent a medical on Monday before signing the contract with Genoa for the rest of the season. He said, "I am pumped. I don't want to talk much. I just want to get started. I'll give it my all." So Mario Balotelli will be a Genoa player. It's good to see him back at top flight football as well. Thank you guys, though, for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.